record. So away we go. And I am, oh, sorry. I just wanted to switch this, see if this is going to work. There we go. Let me zoom this out as best I can. Yeah, it is. So the first storyboard I got, and again, this was new to me too, is down. Oh, it it crashed on me already. Let me see. Hopefully this is going to work. It was working. Let me go back to, yeah, we'll see if this is going to be much of an issue here. Already it's not. Oh, hang on, this might be the issue. There we go. So I'm back. Let me see if I can make this work. Okay, so hopefully we won't have too many issues. So yeah, printing these out. I found the PDFs where it's all combined in one file were really nice because I don't have a printer at home. I compile all the files and take it to Staples, and there I'm printing it out. And I found when they were just JPEGs that I had to go through a whole process to print out each page, which ended up taking quite some time there. And it's hard to keep track of what I printed and didn't print out. So, kind of preferring now, and I'll give more instruction on PDF when it's a final storyboard with several pages, if we can put them in a combined PDF file and go at that route. But anyway, so, and then the other thing I had some issue with is this one came out in 11 by 17 paper. So I had to make sure I was specifying it was 8.5 by 11, the page size. So anyway, if I go through the first one here, this one, page 1, what would be really nice here, if up here on this page, if it's page 1, if you can let me know out of how many pages. When I printed this out, there was only 2. So if that was the case, having one of 2 lets me know, did I miss any? And it gives me a heads up right away how long the storyboard is. But also when I'm printing things out, and this is the industry as well, if they're using your storyboard and they don't know how many pages the storyboard is, they don't know if there's any missing. So it's, that clarity of information, making sure that's there. So, and then please make sure your name is on everything, on every page. Again, in case they get out of order or get the pages mixed up, I can put it back together by putting that information so I know which is which and what's happening there. The other thing I'll mention at this point is making sure, and the majority did, but I still got quite a few, that your file name, that it has what the project is and your name would be great. And if you're doing that for every image, if you're doing JPEGs, well, even with the PDFs when they're all combined, is letting me know what each individual file, what page it is. Many of you did that, and it was a great help. That let me know that I can easily keep track that I printed out and I've looked at page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, or however many. If you don't label any of that, I really have no idea. And I've had some, and we may run into those, where their name wasn't on the file and the name wasn't put on the page. So I had no idea whose project it was. So that doesn't help when it comes to reviewing and such. Also, it doesn't help if you submitted this as a storyboard to a client or to a studio where they have many storyboards being submitted. If you don't have your name on anything, who are they going to pay? They won't know how to pay you. So business practicality is making sure that we're putting all the information. So, for communication. Product title. Great. So here it says Peep Final Storyboard. Yeah, I was kind of hoping you have a creative name of what the story is about, that the heading has some kind of representation to the story and not what the project was as such. So, but anyways, here we'll get going. So here, labeling, I'm going to take a look at labeling first, that it's scene 1. That's great. And here's what I like to see one of three. So I know there's three panels relating to each other. And it's telling me where the location is, Quack's Pond. That's great, because I can't tell from this first image here where we are, because it's a close-up on Quack, I believe. And again, I'm assuming, actually, I'm not sure if I know. Because here, we got dialogue, we got Quack talking and saying really, but there's no action notes. So there's no clarification of what's happening in the image. That's why we need action notes, because I'm not 100% sure, is that Quack? That was my first assumption, but I'm not 100% sure. This one says Peep, and he says, really. So this looks like this may be Peep. I'm not 100% sure, but looking a little bit. And again, one of the giveaways to know that's Quack is that he's got the hat on, but that's not in the shot. The size of the beak, if drawn accurately, will help me, but otherwise I'm not sure. But the issue I'm having with this now, well, let me go on to the next one. So here, this one's saying scene 1, 3 of 3, and now we have chirp. And the dialogue here, and I'm trying to read what that is, S-M-E-H-T-Y. So Smitty, I'm not sure we're familiar with that word. But anyway, part of the issue that I'm having with this is telling me this is all one shot, but yet it's jumping from one character to another character to another character. So that to me looks like a camera position change. Oh, thank you. Somebody was saying it's a gibberish word. Okay, that worked because I couldn't figure it out. And if that's the case, that's something you can put in the action notes as well, saying that chirp. It looks like some action drawn here with his wings up and such. You could say Quack or chirp jumps up with his wings in the air and speaks gibberish or something. So to help to clarify what we're looking at. But what I was going to say about this is that this doesn't look like one camera or one scene, because we seem to change position from Quack, and then the camera seems to move or change position to Peep, and then it's changing position to chirp. So I'm not really sure if this is one scene. It could be, and what we're trying to avoid is pans and camera moves. It might work if, for example, we had all three characters in a row here, and maybe make it like this, and we're panning across, so we're seeing this character, and then the camera moves over to this one, and this one would make it one scene because it's connected with a camera move. But I haven't gotten into camera moves. I'm not showing how to indicate camera moves, so we want to make sure that it works as single shots and using cuts. So anyway, so if that's the case, this would be scene 1, scene 2, scene 3 with one pose on each of them. Because if I'm looking at this, say it's scene 1, and these characters are popping in, different characters are popping in the shot, I really don't know how that's happening. I'm having a hard time interpreting how would I execute that. So a little bit of an issue on that. Okay. So now we have scene 2, and it says 1 of 1. So I know that's our shot. So what is working here is that here's our establishing shot showing the relationship of those characters. We've seen the close-ups of them, and here's that far shot showing where they are in relationship to each other. You should always do that at some point. I know at some studios, I know at Nelvana, they insisted in establishing shot first up front and then start cutting the close-ups and mid-shots and things. That was just their policy. But you'll see as we break down episodes and things, that's not always the case. But you do have to have an establishing on it at some point so we can see the relationship of the characters to each other and to their environment so that we can figure out what's happening. Okay, so no dialogue here, but we do have some action notes, which is great. So we have here saying both Quack and Peep just look at Chirp. Chirp looks at them. Okay, so Yeah, so we're having that eye direction, which is nice. We're seeing his eye direction back, so that's all good. And the indication of background is there, so it's not too bad. It looks like, yeah, we're getting an indication of a water line here and some ripples, which is nice. Any indication that we can see that we're in water helps visually. And something like that might be in the action notes too, saying 3 characters are in the water at Quack's Pond and then looking at each other and such. So just really reinforcing what's happening in the visual. Okay. So we got page 2. So again, 2 of 2. That way I'm not looking for, if it just says 2, I don't know 2 out of how many. I could be looking for more pages, which I didn't find. So I have to be careful. So now we've changed to scene 3 and there's 1 of 1. So we've got that close up of Quack, which is good. And dialogue says go. I'm not sure who's saying that. That's why we, you know, if it is Quack, we're close up on him talking. That's why I put Quack underline and then go underneath. So I know he's the one saying it. And if it's all of them saying go, have all their names. Have Quack, Peep, and Chirp and underline all their names and then go that they're all yelling at the same time. So it, again, whatever you can do to clarify and make sure this is really understood from everybody. Okay. So here we've got a very high shot. So we're in scene 4. There's just enough here that I can make out what's happening. And that is we've gone really high and we can see the back end of Quack and his feet sticking up. And we can just see the little feet of both Peep and Chirp out here. And it's nice kind of defined that Chirp has the multiple toes and that Peep has just the single, so we can tell which is which along there. Not sure if the high angle was the best angle to look at this with. I mean, it's not bad, but it's possible that if we kept that horizon line low with some background and we could see the back end of Quack like this, and then Chirp's feet out, and then Peep's feet, but we still have some relationship to our environment and whatever. So what I'm getting, usually the idea is keep the camera at eye level of, you know, possibly a fourth person. Look at the camera position as another character, as your audience and where they're looking at things from. So I think this angle, just bring that camera lower to where we can still see where the pond is. It's almost going back to the this shot, but we could go a little higher for when they jump in upside down. Okay, so just some ideas there to look out for. Let's see, action notes. Quack bounces up slightly in excitement, and then cheerful music plays or as they perform a water dance. Okay, that's good. See, I didn't know that's what was happening, that it was a water dance. So maybe if this is a water dance, is that they could have more than one pose of what is the dance, because that's open to interpretation as to what the dance is about. So it's an action scene because there should be multiple poses of what the dance is. It just leg position changes or what's happening. So, you know, having more than one pose of that going on. So for example, if this was the idea of the angle in the shot, then the next one, you know, we could have some different leg positions. So it's working that out, trying to figure that out. because if this goes into production, it's going to be anybody's guess what exactly is the water dance, and is it just the legs changing position, or is it their position, or can we see them underwater, or it could be that we have a shot where we have the water's edge, we can see some background, and maybe we have a water line so that we can see what we could see above, and then maybe we can see them underneath. Just indication of a color difference. But the main thing is, if there's a water dance, we have to visually show the poses, like what is the water dance. Because if I was given this and I had to animate it, I'd be going, oh man, I really don't know how they're dancing and what they're doing. I'd have to start thinking about how that's going to happen. The storyboard should be clear. The storyboard should actually show that and be clear on that action. Okay. And then we're finished. So very short story. I was hoping there'd be a little bit more to it. I don't keep it simple. This might have been too simple. But again, we've got our characters and they're working and we've got things happening. So yeah, so they're all going ready, and then his weird word there, and then looking, and then turning upside down. That would be the other thing, is it would be helpful if in this we actually show them diving from where they were, and then have an arrow of them jumping head first into the water. So again, more poses so we can see exactly what's happening. Okay. All right. So jump into the next one here. I'm going to get closer. Yeah, I didn't realize I went from the 11 by 17 to the 8.5. So I'll try and come in closer so you can see things better. Come in just a little bit. There we go. Yeah, there we go. So again, here, great. This is what I was looking for, that 1 of 6. So I know it's 6 pages. So I can tell what's happening there. We have the name, and then here we go. So production title, Peep in the Big Wide World, mystery map. So by production title, you could have gone with mystery map. That would be great. And then have that on every page. We know what's happening. Okay. So this establishing shot, this is great. Nicely drawn, nicely detailed. So we know that location. We've got that recognizable log in the pond. Action note, or even camera ref or background, it would be nice if that was filled in so we know it's Quack's Pond. So again, the information should always give us more than we need, not less. So it's absolutely clear what's going on. Issue with this one, again, we're talking about clear story, composition, posing, labeling. The labeling is missing throughout. We don't have any scene numbers. We don't have panel numbers on any of these. So this would be scene 1, 1 of 1, and it would be a cut. We're going to this one. Here is scene 2, and it looks like that's 1 of 1, and that's going to cut. So again, we're at the hilltop, and this is the tree. It's drawn a little differently than what I recall a tree from the episodes we've watched. It's very thick all the way to the top. So, we talk about characters on model. It's keeping everything on model. So if we have this tree, branches would get smaller as they come up, and the tree would go from thicker to thin. So getting it more tree-like. at first I was almost looking at this in negative space, trying to figure out what it was, but it did dawn on me relatively quickly that it's supposed to be the tree. But that's where these other notes, even action note, you could say, we cut to a mid shot of the tree, and there's no leaves on it, so it'd be nice somewhere, even in the action notes, tell us what season it is. I'm saying we could do it any season, but you should indicate, is this spring? Is it fall? Is it winter? Just that information. Because here in this shot, we've got what looks like green bushes and things. And now here we got a tree with no leaves on it. So I'm kind of conflicted as to what season is it. It's not till I get to this panel that looks like this might be snow on the branch. So I'm starting to figure out that it's winter. So we just need that indication. So when somebody like me doesn't know anything about it, or the rest of us, we can figure out what's going on, what it's about. So it's clarity. So we go from this shot here down to here, and now we're in the tree and we can see Chirp. So that should be in the action notes, that it's Chirp sleeping in the tree, and that this would be scene 3, 1 of 1. And that we're going to be cutting again because it's only one pose. Because on the next one, we have a close-up. So we're cutting in closer and closer to the scene, which is great. There's that establishing, and we get closer and closer until we see what's going on. And that's a good sequence, and it makes it easier to follow what's happening in the story. But as you can see, we need all this labeling, really, to reinforce all that and make sure that we know what the intent was. And it's possible even here, scene 2, that we could see a very tiny chirp in the tree. So then when we cut to here, we know this is the framing from that shot, which ends up this shot. And it's the same when we cut to here, that is a frame cutting in close to this, but we're cutting to that. So you don't have to draw that box. What I'm indicating is that this, because we're cutting in, that this is going to relate to this shot, that it is gotten closer, so that we can make that connection. Okay. So now when we go to the next page, we have page 2. And again, we have no labeling, and there's no dialogue or action notes. Now, I don't know if there's supposed to be dialogue to help us follow the story, or there is no dialogue at this point. But there not being any, I have no idea if this is just missed or didn't get done and got it submitted or what have you. So yeah, just trying to figure the story out a bit. But if I just go by the labeling here, and I think I only printed out the 3 pages. Once I realized there was no dialogue and such, it was hard to follow the story. So it seemed incomplete. So this would be something that it's great you got something in so that I can give you some marks. Obviously, labeling and such, you wouldn't necessarily almost get any marks because it's not there. So again, you got something in so I can mark some of the other aspects of it, but now please resubmit with everything completed so that I can give you a complete mark. All right. Because the indication, what it does for me when you give me something that you got it in, but there's obviously things not completed, it lets me know you worked on it. As opposed to not handing anything in, that just gives me the impression you just didn't bother with this project. You just blew it off, and that's not good. So at least here's showing me that you've been working on it. So it'd be great if it was completed, but at least you've handed in what you've got. And the drawings are nice. I mean, the characters are looking good. It's just hard to tell a story without any action notes or dialogue. And let me just go through a bit of the visuals. So again, the visuals we're working here as we cut closer and closer, and we have this scene 4 where Chirp's sleeping. But now we cut to a scene, and I can only assume, because here's 2 of 6, that this would be scene 5. and it suddenly looks like, that the camera's changed. Something's changed because I there's something in front of Chirp, and I think it's a map or something. I'm not 100% sure. Uh, how'd that happen? Or are we jumping forward in time? Or I need some indication of how, is there poses missing, or is somehow we jumped in time? Because I haven't seen him come awake. All of a sudden he's holding a map. And then here, even on this one, it looks like the map has been pinned to the tree. I'm not 100% sure. And, he's got, it's great. He's got expression. He's got some uh, emotion change, but I don't know why. And then again, maybe if there was dialogue or action notes, it'd give me some hint. But the images are jumping around. There's no flow to them. So this indicates to me you need more posing. You got to show me, where'd this map come from, and how did Chirp go from sleeping to looking at a map, and then all of a sudden the map's on the tree and he's angry. So you need to fill in the gaps. Otherwise, it's hard, if not impossible, to follow. If I was trying to produce this, if I was the production crew or part of the production crew that now got this storyboard and had to make it work, I'd be kind of lost. I wouldn't know where I'd need to, where the animation is and how the scenes hook up and how the flow is. So this is where we got to make sure things are working. So this one is actually, so if this was scene 6, here we've got 2 poses. So if that's scene 6, this scene 6, this is 2 of 2, because here we have a change. He's looking angry here, and now he's turned and looking kind of sad or something, and he's looking at the map, and then we cut to a close-up, and again, I assuming it's 1 of 1, and that there's a cut here. There's a cut. This is a cut. This isn't, because it extends to this one. And then we've cut in closer, and he looks like he's got an idea or something, and there's a good pose expression there. But it needs to be backed up so that we can confirm our suspicions from the drawing of what's actually the intent and what's going on. Here we've got another scene, which I assume is 8, and it seems to be 1 of 1, and now he's running. So really what you need to do is have an extra pose or even a note where he is jumping out, and then he's landing, and then runs off. And again, indicating that in red, just so I can figure out what the action is. Because according to this, he's just standing there, and then we cut and he looks like he's running, but there's no confirmation, there's no explanation as to how the timing or the posing that's connecting these. Okay. So even on this one, for our continuity, and this is great that it's all right to left, that the character is looking left and is traveling left. We talked about that when we analyzed the Seinfeld episode of left-right orientation. So this is good. This is following through really nicely. So what we need is an arrow and in that left the scene. So again, that would be out and then comes into this scene. And then we're looking from inside of the can. So again, these are all individual shots. See, so when I see pages and pages of 8, 1 of 1, 9, 1 of 1, 10, 1 of 1, 11, 1 of 1, it gives me an indication that you don't have enough posing, because we're just jumping to do new scenes without indicating the action or showing the poses of the action and the expression changes. So it just helps the viewer, be it production or the end viewer or whatever, just how is all this connecting? They can't just be independent individual panels. They've got to connect somehow. You got to show the flow of the action and what's happening. Okay. All right. So it is 6 pages. I only printed out the 3 because I was having a hard time following the story without all the notes and without dialogue. So that one is definitely an incomplete and needs to be updated and resubmitted with that information in place. Okay. So we'll go on to the next one. So Again, some of this is going to get repetitive, but it's seeing what works, what doesn't work. So this is great. So I know there's 5 pages. It's 1 of 5. The name is here. Production title. The lightning bugs. So that's intriguing right away. That got an idea what the show's about. So having a production title, and that's a good production title. It relates to the episodes, the uniqueness of the episode. Okay, so we've got scene 1, 1 of 1. We have a cut where it says Quack's Pond. It's evening, so we got, and that's all reinforced with the visual that there's a moon and stars. We can see the landscape. We can see the edge of the pond here. And we have, it's even labeled as establishing shot or far shot. That's fine. Then we have narrator. After the end of a perfect summer day, and again, this is great that it's been broken, the sentence been broken. Then we cut to a close-up of where we see Quack in the pond. And the narrator is saying Quack fell into a deep sleep. And in our action note, it says Quack is sleeping in the pond. So this is all good. So here we've gone from a 1-to-1, scene 1 with 1-to-1 pose. Now we're in scene 2 with 1 of 4 poses. Now, what would have been good in description here, which isn't a big problem because it's indicated in the next panel, that this, I take it, is the lightning bug. And he's zooming in right away. Lots of posing here, and it's a good cheat. It would be nice maybe to show him sleeping and then just the bug entering the scene. But, you know, this could even work too. If you had a red arrow with in, so we know that the shot is just him sleeping, snoring with his mouth open, and then the bug coming in. And then here we got pose 2 of the same thing. And great, nice expression of Quack that closed, his beak's closed, and he's got big bulgy eyes kind of going, something that he swallowed the bug. So here, what's good in the action notes, Firefly gotten into Quack's mouth while he was snoring. Okay, so good. Yeah, so maybe in the action notes here would say Quack is snoring, Firefly enters scene, and then here Firefly, or just say that Firefly goes in Quack's mouth, and he wakes up. Just something that's simple but really describes what's happening here. So he doesn't swallow him. Here he is. He's spitting him out. So that's good. So 3 of 4. So we know we've got more going on here. So Quack suddenly sneezes, and the bug comes out of his mouth. So that's good. Okay. So the only issue that I'm having with this is all great. You've overlabeled it because here it's scene 2. We have 1 of 4, which is great, but we're not cutting. This is a continuation. So we don't need cut. We don't need cut. And because this is 3 or 4, I know we're not cutting to the new scene when I go to the next page. So we're going to be continuing. I'm going to be looking for panel 4 of 4 because this is 3 of 4. So it's making sure that you're not putting labels in that are going to confuse production. So that was just a little bit of a throw off for me to figure out where we're going. So next one here. So this is great. 2 of 2. 4 of 4 panel, and then we have dialogue. Great. So we got Quack underline. Oh wow, it's a Firefly. Quack becomes so happy after he saw this bug. So cut. This is when we have cut because now we're in scene 3, and this is 1 of 1, and so a cut here makes sense. Near Quack's pond. So it's a mid shot again, and let me see. The Quack is, tell me, where are you going? You, what is this? Trying to read something sparkler. I'm not sure.
It says golden sparkler.
Golden sparkler. Okay. This is one of the things. Yeah, it's just the G kind of turned into hard to read. One of the reasons, and this is no problem. This is nice, clear printing, and I still had a little trouble. This is why we usually do all of our text in uppercase. It's just easier to read, and you don't get weird interpretations of trying to figure out letters and such. So it's all been working quite well. It's just, yeah, if it was all uppercase, it'd be less chance of misinterpreting what letters are. But you can see that G, because it doesn't have the hook at the end there, I wasn't 100% sure what the letter was. So it doesn't take much, in our drawing or even in the text, of being very, very clear of what, is it legible? Does it say what you need it to? So my only issue with this one is it does jump. He's in the water and now he's out of the water. What's the transition? What happened here? So it is, most of these short stories should be linear, of which it's constant action. Now, I know even my sample, I had a point where they were all looking at the coin, and next thing you know, Quack's up on the can and hitting it. So there was a jump. It wasn't linear anymore. We went to later that day or later that week or whatever. But sometimes that's indicated with a cross dissolve that it's a passage of time to help indicate that. So these are trickier things that we'll try and dive into or look at more. The only other way is keep this the same scene too, but actually have a pose in here of him jumping out of the water or indicating that he's jumped out of the water. If it's the same background and everything, we can indicate, and with some splashing water, what it is, they jumped out of the water and he's following the bug. Or we could do a whole pose to bridge these. So it's just a little bit of a jump from here to here. We go to scene 4, 1 of 1, over the shoulder shot. That's great. Nice indication. And we've got a whole bunch of fireflies. And we got the narrator here. Always great to use the narrator to help clarify as well. Quack had never seen so many. Hang on, I'm reading this wrong. I'm seeing this word here that's throwing me out that's supposed to go in here. Quack has never seen anything so enchanting as fireflies. Okay, there we go. So yeah, the reason why we do this stuff in pencil is so that if we want to make a change or fix something, we can erase it and put it all in order than trying to do a little amendment here that might be a little hard to follow. Action note, Quack got amazed when he finds a lot of fireflies. Yeah, that's great. Now we're seeing 5, 1 of 1. And now we're at Peep's can house. So that's Quack looking in the can. Hey guys, wake up. Quack is trying to wake up Chirp and Peep. So yeah, so this explains more than the image does. It might be an idea to have an image to help explain this a little more. And maybe it's more of an angle change that maybe, if we can see this, we can have the edge of the can here and we can see Peep and Chirp. And then having Quack pokes in. So we can see the two characters here with, and then Quack coming in. So, kind of doing a 3/4 view at the end of the can, and we can see some of the can and we can see the characters there. It just helps, gives us more information so we can relate everybody and him coming. And then even in this shot, we could have that arrow with the in that he pokes his head in. So we can imagine that shot that he's not there and then he comes in. This is indicating then he pokes his head in and talks to them. Okay. So if you did this, it kind of works. It's just a little hard to really right off tell us where we are. Just thought this might give us the information that's in your description more obvious. And then when you cut to this sequence, and then you're looking from his point of view, and you can see the two characters and then they're posing working. So that all works nice. Okay. So scene 6, 1 of 2, scene 6, 2 of 2, that's great. Again, no cut there when it's just a pose change, because you're not cutting is always changing of the camera. The camera's moving, changing place. So Quack saying, guys, Peep and Chirp sleeping in the can. Quack, come on, I have something to show you. And then this describing, saying, Peep and Chirp woke up and see Quack's saying. Okay. So that's all good. Now we're cutting. So we're at scene 7 now, which is great. So again, we got a little bit of jump in the action. Suddenly the can's not there anymore. So I don't know, we've gone somewhere else. Well, Quack is telling his friend to take a look about what he discovered. So I don't know where this is relation to the can anymore. So I don't know if we've changed later and moved. Now, if the can was here, and again, I might be interpreting the story wrong, and then we can see that he's moved over here, and then these two guys pop into the shot. So yeah, you do have the in, you do have the arrow there, which is great. So at least here now kind of can relate to where we were, or it makes sense to where we were. Otherwise, this is a passage in time and it's later and he's gone to some other location to see the fireflies. I'm not sure if that was the intent. And it doesn't really say. So I don't know this background, if it's outside of the can. And if it is, have some of the can. If it's not, well, we got to jump in time and figuring out where is that and letting the audience know we've gone somewhere else. So this one's 2 of 2. We've got them all in there, cut there, so that's working well. We've got a cut here. Scene 8, so we got a close-up of Chirp, which is this one. So again, a little confusing here. So we've cut in on this shot here so that we can see Chirp and the dialogue here. So Peep's kind of disappeared here. I don't know if we can cut in closer and move him slightly over, not dead center, but move over. Or with this sizing and everything, it's almost like we need to see Peep here, just so that it makes some sense with this shot. Because it looks like Peep's run out of the scene or something's changed differently there. Although you do have a lot of space here. So, this kind of works here. What throws me off though, and I don't know where we are. Let me read this because I'm getting a little confused. I got an idea. Follow me. Okay, so they are going somewhere. Is telling Chirp Quack to follow him as she has a solution. Okay. We need to see them exit this scene to make this really work. So there should be another pose here of the 3 characters exiting in this direction. They're leaving. Because we've gone from here and now we're into another scene. I wasn't sure how that happened. I mean, the cut's good. We don't need to cut there. Yeah, it's just some indication that they're leaving the scene and then they're walking in with, this is good. They're walking into a new scene with a new background. I think what threw me off was this pose looks a lot like this one. I thought it was the same story, but somehow a flashlight just appeared into the scene. This just needs to be another different pose so it doesn't match this one. So I'm not trying to link these scenes up. So because look, the wings up and the wings up, like it all looks like suddenly they transpose into a new background and there's other stuff there. But I like where it's going. I like the introduction of the flashlight and the whole story of the fireflies. I think it's very good, very clever. So yeah, so this is good. Scene 9, we have 1 of 3, then we have 2 of 3 and 3 and 3. So this is working well in that we can see the action. So I know how to animate this. I can visualize the end result of what it would look like in motion. And that's what a storyboard's got to do, that you're leading the audience and knowing what the end result, or at least the production crew, they could see the end result and how it worked. Okay, so cool. And indications of jumping up and down, the light switch going off and on, and that all working. So that's great. That's great action. Okay, cool. So this one is a cut. So I know when I go, I'm going to be looking at scene 10. And it's great because it's a close-up. So again, scene 10 is a close-up of this, which is working great. Then scene 11 is a close-up of Peep, which works out great. So Quack going, it's not going to work. And then Peep, guys, look over there. And then here come all the fireflies. So that's cool. So that's working well. So scene 12, and again, we've got panel 1 of 2, 2 of 2, great. Again, no cut there. They're back, and they both yell, yay. And perfect, yeah, okay, so that's the end of our story. But good, yeah, I mean, overall, it's very good. I like the story. I like the elements that you use the prop of the flashlight. You did come up with some other characters, be very small, but the Firefly, but they weren't like major characters with personality and everything else. They're kind of acting as props or such, but I think it worked out very well. It's just more just keeping track of labels and things, and the scene transitions, getting the characters out of the scene and into a new scene is just clarifying that a little better, but very nice. Yeah. So again, I managed to read all of the words. Again, it's where it's nice. And again, from the sample that I had shown and gone over, is the all uppercase just makes it that much neater and easier to read. Although this one wasn't bad. I could read most of what was happening. Okay, great. So anyway, so hopefully through that, we're seeing, and everybody here, hopefully everybody's paying attention and looking, and that you're seeing what's working and where things might get a little confusing. And the things I'm pointing out, hopefully maybe you've got the same questions or you're trying to figure it out. And usually it's a good way to analyze a storyboard is thinking of how do I translate this into a production, and does it leave me with questions? And if it does, we got to clarify them. We've got to fix the storyboard so there is no questions. So it's very clear how to get it from the still to a final production. Because a storyboard, what happens is, this goes to animators, so they're going to be trying to work out the animation, the action, what's happening there. The backgrounds, there's going to be a department drawing up all these backgrounds as indicated, and they're going to be painting these backgrounds and putting it all together based on the poses and things. So it's all going to come back together and work. So everything has to be clear on the storyboard for that to be functional. Okay. So here we go, 1 of 5. So that's great. We have the name, it's great. We've got a production title, Strange Flower, perfect. So it's descriptive. I kind of anticipating what the story might be about. And right off the bat, we have a view of a landscape, and we see a flower. So that's good. It's all making very connection. That's what I mean by a simple story. It's obvious. Everything makes sense and works together. Narrator, one sunny day while out for a walk, all good. Always like underlining to make sure we know that that's not dialogue, that that's who's talking. This is great. Again, you can put the little in thing here, but yeah, it's great. You got the arrow character coming in. So again, it's scene 1, 2 of 2, perfect. And we've cut in close, excellent. So that's taking, this shot with character just a little closer as he comes in. So here's something I haven't mentioned before, and this is something that is a little shorthand in storyboarding, is we see the character walking, coming into the shot, but he's come to a stop here. And you can do that. Sometimes you can have this, and you could put stop, or what we usually say is settle, meaning that he slowly comes to a stop. So settle, settle. So it means there's motion and he slows into a stop. So we're just using the one word here. Okay, but nice. That works quite well. Narrator, Peep found a strange flower. Peep seeing the flower. Peep. Again, I like underlining these. Just saying, Peep thinking, which is good. So you can see on this one, we've done a cut. So we've cut in just that much closer. We've cut in like this. And it matches up quite nicely. And we're seeing more of the expression. Reason why we cut in is to see expression changes and the subtleties of expression. That's the great thing about filmmaking as opposed to a stage play. The audience is always going to be in the same position. Whereas here we're guiding the audience. If we want the audience to see a subtle expression change, let's get right in. Let's bring the audience right close and show them that expression change. Got to a 5. Now I would prefer if you continued this information here and not just on the title page. Because again, if I drop these or whatever, it's just to have all the information, whose name in the story and such. Because again, I've got a whole stack of these. If I happen to drop these and had to put it all together, having all the information would be helpful. Okay. So here we go. We have shot 4. We've got 2 poses coming up. And again, we've cut out and we've left space here for Quack to come in, which is great. Quack, what are you doing, Peep? Quack walks in. Peep, I found a flower, but Peep turns to look at Quack. So this is good. We got the little arrow here, indication. We got eye contact, perfect. Composition-wise, we're using our space quite well. Then we cut to shot 5, where we see the 2 of them. We've cut in here so we can see the 2 of them, and that matches up pretty good. My only issue with this one, sorry if I didn't get that totally in the shot here, is got a lot of dead space here. So if we look at this shot, and if we look at that we want to come in close, let's fill that shot. So if we frame this like that, that'd be a nicer shot. We see the 2 of them rather than all this background, which isn't doing much for us. And even if we did this, we could indicate a little bit of that background here so we can maintain some of this tree and hill here. We could lower that just a little bit so it's in the shot, just to balance that out as best we can. Okay, cool. So here, Peep saying, I believe it looks familiar. So this is great. I love how you're splitting the sentence up and using that technique of cutting, even though it's one line of dialogue, which is great. And again, see, this one's all uppercase. This is what I was hoping everybody would be doing. And it does make it much clearer and easier to read than upper, lower, or particularly cursive. Definitely avoid cursive as much as possible. But the uppercase really makes it easier to follow. So here, we scene 6, we've cut to a close-up, and we've got here saying close-up on flower. Perfect. Then here, again, keep all the information going. We're at scene 7. We have 2 poses, which is great. We have a cut there, and we don't say cut here, which is great. We don't want that. And we can see the action of Quack changing position, just like we were looking at in the Seinfeld episode, that we got to show the switch of position, because Peep was on the right, Quack was on the left, and now it's changed. And we've seen it happen. So perfect. It worked out really well. And we can see this. Maybe we can keep that background, see that hill. However, that would work in there, and a little bit of the tree. So we can bring the camera down a little lower, so we can bring the horizon line down lower. Then having this all grass, making it look like there's a giant hill behind them. Quack, let me see it. Quack, I am a flower expert. Okay, it's saying that he moves closer. Great, all great information. Scene 8, we have a cut, so we know it's 1 of 1. So all that works for this shot and setting up for the next one. So again, we've come in closer. So we've taken this and we framed it and just came in closer to it. So again, maybe just a little hint of the background here, horizon line background here, just to make it a little more interesting than all green grass. Looks got a little bit of an optical illusion or something. It looks like the background's looking straight down at it and the character's on a side view. So this just establishes the ground and horizon, especially on this shot where we see the horizon very low. So it's almost picking this up and making sure it's in the same position for this shot and these shots as well. So this is perfect. I like the horizon line there. And now, clever, like it that we have the sun set rising. So what is this, mid shot, big sun at the back. So I'm not sure if that's a sunset or a sunrise. Maybe sunset, I don't know. Yeah, maybe sunset would be better. But anyway, that's to establish time of day so we can justify or rationalize why the sun is on the horizon all of a sudden. Okay, but poses, everything, all looking good. We have a cut, so we've got more scenes because we're at 305. So we've got more story to tell. 405, again, it'd be great if we had this information, but that's all good. We got scene 10. We know we got two poses because here's the other one. And we've got Chirp popping into the scene. So let me see the shot here. So we have shot 9, and then we're shifted everything over so that we can bring Peep in, and that's fine. This, in a normal story, would probably be a compensation pan. We just take this shot and move it over to get a new composition to introduce the third character. But since we're not doing those, this works as a cut, and it still works for me. And we have this in Chirp coming in. Again, got great dialogue here. The underline and everything's working. Oh, you found a sunflower. And it says Chirp hopping in. Great. Chirp looking at the sunflower. Then here's our close-up one pose in scene 11. And again, that is cutting right in here. Perfect. Because this one, and it is a lot of hill, that background would be all green. So that's fine. And now scene 12, and a cut that Peep and Quack both turn and see the sunset. That's it. It looks like the sun. Perfect. My only issue here is size relationship. Is Peep looks bigger than Quack. And I'm not sure if that's an illusion because he's closer to the camera or not. But it might work better if we had a shot or had a composition that maybe isn't quite as close so that we can see that we can just see more of the characters. So if Quack is up here, Peep can still be down here. And then again, a turn for both of them. And then they can see that sunset. And if anything, I'd almost drop that horizon line so that sunset is clear, that we can see it all that more. So we just want to see that again. He's more egg shaped. He's looking around here, so it's hard, getting confused with the characters a little bit and what's happening. So that's just kind of an alternative setup, composition, size relationship, and even bringing that horizon down lower so that we're not cutting off the sun. The sun's almost like a third character, and we want to see it clearly. And we cut it off, and it's kind of high in the shot. Bring it down in the shot, and really seeing all of it without cutting it off, I think just makes a better composition. It's very clear what's going on. So these are just subtle things. Again, I think the story, labeling, everything is working super well. Just some little hints to maybe just strengthen it that much more. Okay, so we gone to another scene, 13, and one panel and a cut, and we've done a close-up, which works because that would be cutting in here. So we've got a little thought balloon coming up, So this one, again, I would see this as a compensation pan, but it'll work as a cut in this case. But maybe to make this work as a cut would be, let me see here. I want to see if I understand all this right. Peep, so I can see the sun even at night. And then we're cutting here. Okay, so this one is a close-up of this shot. Okay. Yeah, sounds good. No, this is all good. I wouldn't make any changes to that. I was thinking of this being maybe a little bit more of having Peep looking up and then having him dreaming of him and the sunflower and all this, and we can see it's all not sure how clear that is. That's the can. This is Peep here and the sunflower, but this is him down here in the scene looking up into this dream cloud, so we can see it's his thought or dream or whatever, as opposed to kind of falling out of the shot. Just kind of keep it all contained. So it's just an idea. But this cut all works. That's all great. And that's the end because we're 5 of 5. So we took it right up so that we can see that flower at the end. So it's okay in this case, particularly for these storyboards, not to have a whole page just to say the end or whatever. And I can figure it out. It's the end by that. It's 5 of 5. So you gotta make sure this is labeled right so I can tell this is the last page rather than me going, is there supposed to be more pages or more story? So, but anyway, this all works quite well. All right, cool. Again, I'm not sure how long this is taking or if we're going to get through them all or not. 10:45. It's not bad. We got lots of time yet. But you start to see kind of a trend of what's working, what's not working. Each story has some unique issues and things that you have to clarify, but I think that's getting pretty clear as well, what works and what doesn't. Okay.
Mr. Carson, can I mention something real quick?
Sure.
I've messed up on transitions. I thought I was transitioned into that scene.
Okay. Was that this last one?
It's this one.
Oh, this one
mine.
here. Okay. Yeah, no problem.
And I think I forgot the page 1 of 5.
Yes, I'm noticing that. Yeah, no problem. I'll go over it quick and see how it all works. But yeah, I noticed here that that's not, it's just giving me page 1 and we go to page 5. So again, it'd be nice. But this is good. You picked up on that before we even got to yours. So you saw what was working and not working with everybody else's and you translate it to yours. So that's what we're doing.
I also didn't do a narrator.
That's not necessary unless you really need one or want one. It's not like you have to have one. It's an option for these. That's your.
I mean, because there's very, very blank dialogue options then.
Oh, okay, so the characters aren't speaking much. Well, that's up to you if you need it. If you need the narrator to clarify and set things up, then use a narrator. So that's here nor there. I mean, I'm not sure if I notice that I'm having a hard time following things and that a narration might have clarified it. Yeah, then that's something I'd recommend. But let me get into it. We'll see. So again, 1 of 5, that'd be great. Your name's here. Your productions is good. Peep discovers
a drum.
Drum? Yeah.
I didn't have a creative name. I'm not as not quite as creative as others.
Not a problem. Not a problem. So this looks good. So scene 1 of 3. Well, this one's this being 1 of 3. We might run into a little issue here. You've got to zoom in. We're not doing zoom ins. It would be a cut, and that would be just a cut closer. So next year, you're going to be doing camera moves and zooms and pans and all that sort of thing. I'm trying to keep it. Let's work with simple building blocks and tell stories as best we can. So this is no problem. But yeah, we won't be doing zoom. So this would actually be scene 1 and then go to scene 2 here. And this would be 1 of 2. And this would be 2 of 2. And that being scene to. So that would be fine. So that's scene 1. And again, we can see our location. And yeah, for whatever reason, I'm not sure if it was your original, which I'm assuming it might be, that things were fading out. I'm not sure if that's because it was in blue or if you went over it in pencil or if it was the images were dark.
That is just normal pencil. I think it was I didn't press hard enough. I didn't
Yeah.
realize the scan did that.
Right. And it could be the scanner, how it's picking things up. But, you know, whatever the digital file was, when I go to print that out, things are a little difficult to see or read, as in this case. But we can see that I'm starting to pick it up, that Peep stares out of his can. So that's good. Maybe, yeah, a little more trees, foliage, or something to help with the composition. When it was just the V background here, it was quite stark. But you put a tree in, suddenly that balances out the can and everything. So that's what composition is about, is working the main features in with the background and trying to balance it. But this one, if it's a cut, which it should be, as opposed to a zoom, and again, this is great because that's replicating that close up from this framing and bringing up large. So that's great. Just came over this way a bit. And him there. Peep continues to look out of his can. Yeah, I can't quite read this one.
He's yawning.
Ah, okay. That's what I thought. I just couldn't figure out what's happening there. But again, composition wise, that it's a second pose, that's great. I like all that. And here we have Chirp coming into the shot. So
I know I put that. I guess it just didn't show up.
okay, yeah. So it's just, again, making sure we're pressing hard enough so that we can see that. Here you got pan right and you got zoom, so we don't want any of those. This shot looks very much like this one, and this framing and everything works well. You put a little less can in this shot, but this would still work in this position if you had Chirp come in. So I would think of this being still scene 2 and this being 3 of 3 here, and this one being 2 of 3 on that 1 of 3. Because all this kind of works quite well. If you framed all this so that all that would flow together, it would work in one shot and not have to move things around and such so much. But okay, dialogue. So we've got Chirp saying hi, Pete. This one here. So this one they've kind of shuffled a bit. He's kind of come out of the can a little bit and whatever. I'm not sure.
I did put a mark that he moved.
Okay. Yeah, it's just maybe a little awkward as to framing, how the framing changed, and what the action is posing that out. Again, if we're going to make a camera move or change or something, it should be very obvious. This is such a little change that you might as well just keep it in the same shot. So this could have been still with the can here, just like in this shot. And then Peep or Chirp coming into the shot, and then turning to leave. Or you might even
I also forgot to break sentences.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so yeah, well, you don't have to break them. I mean, it's just one sentence here, so that's not too bad. So what should we explore today? Let's see, let's go. So that's all fine. Again, it's just underlining who's speaking just to separate it out from the actual dialogue. So yeah, the idea here is this could all be one shot. So this still could be, oh, and you do have it scene 2. Okay. Oh, and the other y'all had scene 1, right? Yeah. So scene 2, but this would be 3, 4, and 5. So 5 of 5. No, sorry. Yeah, they're all out of 5, but this would be 4 out of 5. Yeah. Okay. And then show that they're exiting. And then this is a new scene, which you've got here. That's great. Of them coming into the shot. You've got that there. That's good. And you're setting up here And then you're having him trip. So this one you've cut in closer. So you've got it scene 3, but you've changed the camera position a fair bit. So this would be, so you've got set up as cut here, and it would be. And again, let's avoid zooms and things. We're always going to be cutting if we're cutting in closer, like here. So if we cut closer, it would be 4. You're right. If it was a zoom, if there was a camera move, it would still be the same shot, but we want to avoid those and keep it simple by just cutting. So this still works. Then he trips. And now he's rolling down a hill. Okay. So this sequence here of him tripping, and now he's rolling down a hill, and he's rolling, and he goes onto this stump or thing here and gets flung out.
It's a branch that's got stuck in the ground.
Right. Okay. The only thing is that you should set that up here, because here's the hills and everything, and they're down here kind of in the flat part of ground, and he trips. I haven't established where this hill is he's going to roll down. So if they were up here and tripped over a rock, and you established all of this, then you could see, oh, he's rolling down this hill and then he's going to fly off that. We can cut closer to that. But because they're down here, which looks like flat land, and the hills are over here, that when he falls, yeah, this just gets not as clear as to where things could happen. So it's just setting up an establishing shot, more of where what's going to happen when he falls, that he'd be rolling down a hill. And like this all works. It's just maybe setting up this shot so we could see that setup. Because what could happen here as well, I mean, this could be, even if you had the hill here and that one back in the ground here, and then you could keep this pose of them coming in. So at least you establish they're on a hill, and there's a hill back here. So then when we cut close and he trips, and then we come to this, we could see him rolling. And then, the gully, the bottom of that hill, and then it all makes sense for the rest of the shot. Okay. And then, okay, so yeah, so he goes onto the shot, he's in the shot, and there's a drum at the bottom of the hill, which he hits and bounces off of. And then Chirp runs up, and I'm having a time reading the text is kind of faded out, so I can't really.
Basically, it's Chirp hearing the bang and running to see if he's okay.
Right. Okay.
And he's confirming he's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And then they're up on
and
the
then
drum.
Then the last one was he's saying, "Oh, this thing made sound when I landed on it."
Right.
Basically.
Cool. Now they jump on it and they do a dancing song on it. Great. Okay.
The ending was supposed to be eventually one of them accidentally knocked the other over and they landed beak first into the drum and they couldn't.
Oh, and they break it? I think this is a nice happy ending. I quite like this one. That they're just making their own music with the jumping on the drum and they're happy and they had a good day. So I think this works for our audience and is a nice, ending on the story, that they've discovered something and they're having fun with it. All right, cool. One, here we go. So again, perfect. Got that. Beach day. Yep, cool. We've got one of one. Beach, early afternoon. Narrator, today's the day. Peep, Chirp, and Quack agree that today is beach day. Okay. Trying to establish this shot here. I'm trying to figure out. So is this edge the water? This is sand and this is sky? Is this clouds or is this, I don't know. I'm a little confused by the shot. I'm not sure what I'm looking at or what perspective I'm taking a look there. So that might need a little clarification exactly where we are. I'm not sure if that's a sand dune This is a bit of the edge of the water, and I'm not sure here if that's sky. So a little bit of clarification or help in perspective in the shot to try to establish that. Because here we've got so the narrator was saying that today is, I like this, where you got the narrator saying, today's day, Peep, Chirp, and Quack agree that today is, and then you have Peep and Chirp and the shot of them all screaming beach day. So that's, I can visualize that. I could see that. That'd be very cool. That'd be a fun shot, fun sequence. And here they are running in. So I'm trying to really, oh, okay. So I'm looking at this backwards. This is water. This is beach. I'm not sure what this is then, or it's just a hill. Anyway. But I guess this is Quack's feet going towards the water. I don't know. I think maybe these shots in here, let me draw something up to help clarify what I'm getting at. Shots like this, and this applies to our first shot up here, and that is horizon line. So, you know, we have water, and then we have the beach line of water. And then you could have characters, and if there's feet prints or whatever, and maybe you got a little bit of a hill with some grass on it here. So I'm just trying to give you some alternative compositions, layouts here. So you've got the two of them. Running. So that way, you know, you're establishing something relatable. So this looking straight down looks like we're all way up in a tree or a helicopter looking at these shots. I think it grounds it better. And I think it's relatable more if we can see more of a horizon line, beach, and then water. This one here, this next shot, is that 180 rule, that the camera is looking behind them at the back, and now it's flipped and it's changed the orientation, because here is Peep and Chirp, and now there's Chirp and Peep. So they've flipped. So you might have taken it, I don't know, it's here nor there. I'm finding it disorienting that we've switched angles completely. If you flip this shot, it would work. So if you had this here and you had Peep and Chirp and then this angle, then it would work, because you can see the angle in which they're coming in. You have Peep and Chirp, and here you would have Peep and Chirp. So it's taking this exactly and flipping it would give you a shot that works, that you're not crossing the axis. You're staying within the 180 line. You're going from one extreme to the other without crossing it. So that's what we want to make sure that you're doing, and not flopping things. Okay. So that just creates an issue. Maybe it'd be easier to flop this one. If you flop this one, then you keep this, and then it matches up to these shots. So again, if you've established who's in which order, you want to keep it. So you only flipped it on this one. So sorry, it's this one you'd want to flip, not this one, because this is set up so when we cut, we're cutting into this, and that's what we see. And this one's working nice because there's that horizon line, and we're down at a normal perspective. It's almost if if Quack was in the shot, you're looking from his perspective, and he's, you know, just maybe slightly taller than them, but he looking at that third character view that the camera would be looking at. Okay. But this is all nice. Scene 5 and 2 of 2, a couple poses. That's great. Dialogue, laughing, Peep, take that, and they're giving description, dialogue, all working fun. Then we get into a fun little thing going to be happening here. It looks like Peep and Chip, distant laughter, splash each other. Unknown rises from the water. So we can see this seaweed covered thing coming up, and then seems to go back down, which they haven't noticed. So that's a bit of drama. Be fun. I could actually hear the music, dramatic music, Jaws music, or something that something's coming up. And here we've gone to scene 9. So we got 2 poses. This all works. They can see the hat, and then he pops up with a roar and still covered in seaweed things. So that's cool. That's a fun one here. I like that. So that's just a close-up of here. So we just see him. And then having that shaking, whatever, and everything flying off, and the feathers all rustling out. That all looks good. And him saying, "Ha, got you." And then them all looking surprised and angered, whatever, that they got scared. So that's cool. Again, good that we've got that. Again, the name on each page, title production on each page would be nice. So it's being consistent with that would be helpful. Here we have a continuation. Sorry, yeah. So this one indicated that it's 1 of 3 seen here. There's no cut there. Perfect. So I'm anticipating when I turn the page that we have a continuation of those poses, which is working out well here. That's cool. Now, a lot of information here. Let's see. Just because you can swim doesn't mean you can scare us like that. Well, I'm a better swimmer. Chip gets up. So a lot going on here. It might be, it might have been good to break this up with a close-up if he's talking, just to clean up all of the info here. But cinematically, it all works, and it's good that it has that many poses. It's just want to get a lot of information here, or a lot of dialogue. I like splitting that up in some way, either with a cut or more poses. Here we go. Chirp saying, "I can't even swim." And he's here. Okay. So I'm wondering if you could have just duck feet coming out of the water. I like that. Anyway, it's good. Close up. So this is good. So we zoom right in here. And if Chirp is speaking, or he's saying so that's okay. I was going to say his beak wasn't open, but he's saying his beak would be closed for that. So that works. That's good. This one. So what's this? Chirp's point of view, trying to think of something. So he's in search of something here that he's going to help him. I'm not seeing anything that, anyways, I'll have to carry on to see if this shot makes sense to me later. And got it. Let's build a sandcastle and see who, okay. So is this supposed to be a bucket in the sand? So yeah, it's just trying to draw that more clearly, or even if you play a little shovel here, just to make that really clear, and that this might even have a handle on it. Not that that's very clear, but it's trying to make that distinctive so we can actually see what it is that looking at. And it's almost like if you have a further shot here, and then again, we're not doing zooms, but you can do it with a cut, add another shot and have a cut in that we've got the overall shot, and then we cut in close that he spotted something. And then that relates to this shot and him moving forward. This, I'm not sure. Yeah, you've got 2 different cuts. This one's an extreme close-up. This one's a close-up. Yeah, I'm just wondering if there's enough difference between that. It almost looks the same shot. I'm wondering if you compromise these 2 shots and do it as one shot with 2 poses to go through that. Now we have, oh, okay. That's a little hard to interpret this one of how he's floating, and then his head is sticking out the side. Saying, "Bring it on." Okay. Again, I know we had just gotten into, and that was before or after the storyboard, where we're getting into perspective and 3-dimension, 3/4, that this shot might have worked better. of being 3/4. Again, maybe changing the perspective. And then having his head pop up. Like that, yeah. So I'd frame that differently. So again, yeah, the one shot would be just the belly and the feet in the shot. And then here, this would pop up, or could be even more behind the stomach. So yeah, there we go. So the stomach, then the head pops up and we see it. This one I'm finding a little awkward in the setup and that bending and just focusing, whereas it was more 3/4 and the stomach hiding where his head is back here, and then that can pop up and deliver the line. And that way, you know, we could have the horizon here with water and then ripples and water around here. And then have some clouds or whatever in the sky out that way. Then a straight flat view on this one. Okay. So anyways, that's all good alternatives that we can do there. Okay. Then we're cutting. So here, second to last page. Great, fill those in. This is all good. We got 2 poses. I'm trying to figure out where we are for a second here. So I don't think we should do that. And then let's see if you're going to judge. Peep's eyes follow Quack. Oh, okay, so Quack gets up and leaves. Oh, this is Quack. Okay. Good. This is where the action notes came. I think maybe you need the action notes more clear that this is, I take it this is Quack walking by here. Okay. It's just a bit awkward. It's almost like you need Quack here and then I'm walking through. And then this shot. So it's kind of setting it up because where Peep is, and I like the expressions and everything that you have here is great. It's just, you know, really seeing that this is Quack walking by. And then here, just trying to find that relationship of where Peep went in relation to this. So it's just establishing where characters are to each other. So let's see, and go. They change. So I'm trying to figure. So if this is the bucket, so he's grabbing the bucket to make a castle, and that Quack is using his feet to make something. Okay. All right. So the next one, this one seems to make a little more sense where he's building these and he's just pushing dirt to make a wall around them. Okay. Yeah, because this is a fair bit of action animation that would have to happen of all that going on. It might be breaking this up into sequences, and I know the story's getting long as it is, of them trying to build all this. I know going from this to this all in animation could get complicated. Sometimes playing with the close-ups and things would kind of give the impression of passage of time and walls being built and these things happening, but it would take a lot more images and go well beyond the 7 pages. But something to keep in mind. Okay. So we've cut back to Peep, and then we've got Chirp and then Quack. So let me just read all this. Again, the one thing that's jumping out at me is that Peep is now showing up again, and we have all close-ups. And I really don't know where Peep is in this whole setup. Throughout this story, I've gotten lost as to where Peep has been throughout all this. So even in a shot here or something, just trying to establish where Peep was, and especially now that he's back in the shot, is where did he come from? Now, maybe if he was here and watching, he could be looking back and forth, be looking this way and then turning and looking that way from one shot to the next, just so we can figure out where he is. He just came out of nowhere here and chatting. But let's just try to read the dialogue, see what's going on. Chirp and quack. And this is, thoughts. What am I missing? But what? Done. They both look across at each other. Peep, the winner is both of you. You both combine the castle. It will look better if not both. And nobody, I'm not sure what that dialogue's telling me. Peep is right. Why don't we work together? Yeah, and it would be more fun. Peep is right. Okay. So I think the story's there. I think the dialogue and such is there. I think maybe just trying to simplify that a little bit more and getting this working together with your dialogue. I think part of probably the issue is it got complicated because you started out with a whole different idea. You used up a lot of your story of Quack scaring them with the seaweed. And then it turned into a whole different story of them battling it out with sandcastles. Is keeping it one or the other. Do you build up and make the story work as Quack building up and scaring them? Or do you work on the beach and the sandcastle idea? Both of them, I think, just makes it too complicated for the amount of pages we've got. Because I think you could have used a lot more pages in the building of your story with the sandcastle. So part of the thing of keeping it simple, you had two good ideas here, but when you put them together, it's a longer episode than the 7 pages that we've got. Than just more of an intro story that we were doing on the 7 pages. But you got the elements here, and you got a number of things working and compositions working well. So it's just not getting too complicated. And in the last sequence, it's just Peep kind of popping in here and there, not really seeing the relationship between the characters. So it's just working that out a little stronger so that we're not going, where's Peep and why is he where is he when he pops up and what's happening there? Okay. So again, it's more complication. The issue is more that it's got more complicated than it needs to be or required for this storyboard. Okay. So go on to another one. Let's see, how is our time doing and how far are we going? Yeah, after 11. Got a little bit of an hour. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to get through all these, but I'll try and pick up the pace a little bit. Okay, so again, we're seeing trends here where all the things are working here. That scene 1 and then pose 1, so that's working. Got the arrow coming in of Quack. Quack could be a little bit more unmodel. He's looking around like Chirp and Peep. He is egg-shaped, or supposed to be. Dialogue, nice and big, legible. It is upper lower. I prefer it all upper, but it is legible and working. So it's windy with leaves flying. Okay, so the narrator here, let me just read all this. It was a windy night, and Quack is trying to arrive at home, but the leaves don't let him see the way. Suddenly something, no, here I'm having a little bit of trouble, flies over him and covers him. Okay, so we can see this happening here. And Quack can't see where he's walking. Quack is blinded by the cloth. So Quack's pun, we see Peep and Quack. So narrator, meanwhile, Peep and Chirp. Peep, look, Chirp, the moon is so beautiful tonight. So looking at the reflection, it's good. I don't know, Peep. I think all I can see is a ghost. So yeah, okay, so that's cool with the reflection. Peep jumping. Okay, so yeah, all right. So I'm just looking at scene numbers and things. So this is scene 5. It's one of So it's scene 5, 6, and 7. I think all of this could be done more in one scene. Could have come in closer and framed all this so it all works. So it's 3 poses all in scene 5, as opposed to having one pose, one pose, one pose, and we're just getting slightly closer each time. So this one's got 2 poses. Let me continue. So that one connects up to this one, scene 7, 2 of 2, and then running. Then scene 8 of Quack and the ghost thing running through the scene. Yeah, you got a lot of individual shots here that are not particularly well set. There's lots of action. When you get an action sequence like this, you got to pose things through more to make it work. And I think this is just becoming a little bit complicated in the shots. But you do have the directions nice, left to right, all the actions going left to right, and then them hitting into the can there. Let me just go through and just see where the story goes. So 4, they're inside, Quack. Yeah. Again, you have quite a few just one pose shots, which are, I'm not sure how well those are working. The other one is the scale here. Looking inside that can, and this really shows up the scale issue that you have happening here, is we're looking at the can and look how small they are. So that's a very large can and they're very tiny inside it. But now you've got an outside shot and look at the size of Chirp in comparison to the can as opposed to when he was inside the can. There's like a major scale discrepancy between the characters in the can from here and here. So it's just trying to get that continuity working a bit better. But also, you know, if he's come barreling out of here, we got to see him leave the shot in this one and then entering the shot here. So this one continues. So we see both Chirp coming in, then Peep. Would make this one a little clearer is if you had Chirp still in the shot, exiting, and then Peep coming in and running over him, and then
Sir,
yeah.
there was a student that got disconnected. They're waiting to be let back in.
Oh, okay. I'll let him back in. I thought I got disconnected. There we go. There we go. Thank you. Again, images, and I know we've been working from 2D and working on 3D and such. It might have been a little better if we indicated a one Quack shape here. And if he's a ghost, trying to show some dimension to him. He looks flat from a straight on view as opposed to the idea that he's laying on the ground and the characters kind of jumping over him. Jumping on and jumping off. So just trying to get, you know, those shots working out better there. Yeah. So again, I think part of the issue, again, it's getting kind of complicated, this story, because it starts out with Quack having a hard time finding his way, and Chirp and Peep looking at the reflection of the moon, and then them running into his can, and then they're running out of the can, and now they're ending up in the tree. There's a lot of scene transitions, and we've got a lot of different things kind of happening. So I think for these first storyboards, trying to keep it simple and linear and try to avoid a lot of different locations to help just nail down transitions and things. Because here they've run out of the scene. Now here's a shot and I'm just walking along. And then there's a shot of the tree and then walking into the shot. Now all of a sudden they're on the branch and they're chatting, and now they're looking at the moon again. Yeah, it seems a bit complex story-wise. I think the most of everything else, labeling has been great, and putting everything in. Composition has been pretty good. Clarity of story, again, I think it's a little all over the place, and a lot of ideas happening at the same time. It's just trying to make it a little easier to follow, and maybe just having one or two clear ideas and trying to make this an easier storytelling. Yeah, specifics, yeah, would take a while to go through. I guess I'm feeling the time constraint here, but something for future on keeping the stories. And as we show more samples and things of, simplification and coming up with just one strong theme and working from that. So hopefully that helps in some way. Let me see, I want to see what else we can go through here. Okay, next one. Okay, so, okay, yeah. So little things here. This looks like it says page 2, but I have a page 2 here as well. This page has scene 1 through it, so I take it this is scene 1 or page 1. And let me just see how many we have here so I can get it how many out of how many. So there's 6 pages, so it should be 1 of 6. Please make sure you have your name on every page. Sunnyside Peep. Okay, that's kind of funny. And Peep's home.
Mr. David,
Yes.
I think there's someone trying to get in.
Oh, more? I don't see anybody. Oh, hang on. There's nobody indicating here that they need to come in.
Oh, okay.
That's okay. There's somebody just a little while ago that I let in, but I'll keep an eye out. Thanks. With a bump and a bang, Peep starts his day with a surprise. So, oh, okay. Quack, let him out. So, okay, so unusual here, we've got the Peep's home upright. So it's on its edge here. So this is where this shot was a little unusual, because he's at the bottom of the can, and I think wasn't used to that. Usually the can's on its side and he's resting against the back or whatever. So I'm trying to figure out the camera view. We're looking straight down into the can from Peep here. And that Quack is running into the can. But I'm not totally sure what's happening. And let's see, let him out. So Pack is thrown against the wall. Peep, hey, cut it out. Peep, what are you doing? What do you think you're doing? Peep, good to know you're okay. I saw your house was up. I was trying to put it back. Okay, so this is a good idea. I like the idea. It's just clarifying it in the images that this is where we are. So I'm almost wondering in this first shot here is maybe just a little further out. And then Quack in here so we can see the rings of the can and the door open here. And I'm not sure if that works all that well either. It's a weird optical situation of trying to see that can upright with Peep sleeping in there like in your shot here. So, and even in this shot, maybe we need to see the full can so we can appreciate the orientation of what's going on. So what I mean by that is that, you know, if we can get the can in the shot, and then see Quack running for it. So you see what I mean here? It's just to establish the can's up on the up, and then we can see that clearly. So it's just clarifying, and it's just what can we do in this first shot to hopefully get a better perspective of what's going on. So then we can kind of see even this one where Peep is being thrown against the side of the can. It's, you know, the can, you can see the bottom of the can, and that he's being thrown to the one side, that we can see kind of impact or whatever of that happening. Just to try and get a better feel for the location. But I like the idea that we got something unusual happening, and that's the idea. The basis of the story is that you know, something unusual, something different, and that Quack has realized that Peep's house is up on end as opposed on its side like usual. Ah, here we go. Here's a shot. This is kind of what I was trying to get at. So this one, it's almost like you got to, at least you got to this shot, so we got a clarification of it. I guess I was trying to establish it a little earlier, that it's upended, that we're seeing that. Let's see, narrator. Pete began to recognize his home was not right. Okay. But he was able to think up a quick plan. Okay. So this one, these are complicated issues where you're kind of showing inside the can and outside at the same time. So it's almost like you need a double line here showing the thickness of the can wall. But it's a tricky one to make that work. Let's take a look through. Again, naming things here. Your posing scene 9, one at a time. So this one has a camera move to it, which we're trying to avoid. So it looks like you're doing a pan across from one side to another. We're looking more at cuts for this. And this one's, yeah, I guess this is still looking inside the can. It's just you don't see Peep anymore because of the positioning. And now you're looking through the can. And this is tricky, having, you got some real optical illusions happening, although it's working quite well. I kind of like what's happening here, of particularly this shot 10, where you've got, again, these two poses of them there and then running against the side of the can, trying to get it to knock over. So that's some funny action happening for it. So that's kind of cool. Your numbering throws me off a bit, because I look at this, again, this is like a close-up where you have scene 10, but you got one of 3. And now you've zoomed out and you got both characters. So again, we're doing cuts. So if you keep it like this, this would be scene 10, this would end up being 11, and it'd be 1 of 2 and 2 of 2. So again, I'm just trying to avoid complex camera moves and things like this at this stage, and doing straight cuts for things. But I like the story. I like what's going on. Actually, I really like your drawing of the characters. They're depicted very well, and some nice action going on here and expressions happening. So very nicely done. So very like that. So here's a nice cut of Peep now being bounced off the wall, and the googly eyed thing, and then the same happening to Quack there. and then moving back and forth. And let's just see. So they're both running to the one side. So finally tips over and he flies out. So yeah, that was a good ending. That worked out well. So again, this being page 6 out of 6 pages. This action, yeah, for a complex story or a tricky visual, I think you did a pretty good job of trying to work that out. And the animation, the action and such would help clarify it. So yeah, so again, because of the upright can, you got some funny perspectives, but this drawing of that perspective is working quite well. And that you don't have it at the beginning, I think that's okay. You're going to reveal it as we go. Although this one, I would recommend that you have the whole shot or the whole can in it so that we can really recognize that it's Peep's home up on end and working it. So it's more of a composition thing to see the whole can, giving us all the information so we could see it. Okay, cool. Another one. So another one, 7 pages, so it should be 1 out of 7. Name there, that's great. Picnic Mayhem, good title. Anticipating something fun already. Narrator, good, and all uppercase. Much easier to read when it's all uppercase and care taken to the text as much as the images itself. And the images are working quite well. And some fun little visual gags happening here that I quite like. That they've all got their little lunches. Peep's got it in his beak. Chirp has it in his little wing, and that Quack has his on his head with his hat on top of the bag. So it's just a fun kind of like caricature or establishing the characters by how they carry their picnic lunches. So again, we got narration, and then we have some good action notes. We got Quack speaking here, and eye direction, everything working well. This has to be the best day to have a picnic. You're right, Quack. I can't wait to have lunch right now. They're putting their stuff down, so this is good. Yeah, this always gets a bit complicated because here, we're in front of the pond, we're in the middle of the pond, we're somewhere else now. So we've been traveling, which usually would be a pan or a pan background to show that they're moving along. It would be nice for, the simplicity or how we're going to cut and make this make sense and make it work is that, it start with a farther shot and just cut in closer to where they are stopping and setting up camp rather than showing the whole sequence of travel, kind of getting to the point of finishing things off and where they're at. Let me see. Okay. So here we are. So again, they're getting ready for picnic. They're setting down beside a tree here. And now we've gone to page, oh, have I got these out of order? Or I'm trying to, I think I might have missed a page. Oh, that's too bad. Because we look like we're at page 3 and but we're at, so it looks like there might have been 1 of 5. So yeah, I missed a whole page here. So I was going to say something about continuity, but that's okay. Since we're on a new page and now they're swimming. And we have poses, which works in sequence. Narrator speaking. This is all good. We've got all this coming through, which is good. This is page 3 of how many? 7. Great. Let's see. Peep chases Chirp around and Quack takes a swim in his pond until noon finally arrives. I think it's time to eat. So they all jump and run onto the shot. Cool. So we are seeing 5, 4, 7. I can't wait to eat the lunch you brought us, Peep. But quack, Peep's lunch, it's gone. Okay, so everybody's lunch is there except for Peep. And I like this reaction shot. Nice composition going on. Quack's got some very thick legs here. I think on model is just that'd be a little thinner, but everything else size and everything's working out quite well. We have a close up, which again would be close up on here, which we cut to, which is good. Oh, we can't eat dinner or dessert during lunchtime. I guess we'll have to wait until dinner time to eat. I'm not sure why that is. Peep's lunch is gone. But for some reason they can't eat dinner or dessert during lunchtime because I don't know where their dinner or lunch is. So I thought they just went on a picnic for their lunch, but a little confused on what's happening there. I guess we'll have to wait dinner time to eat. So again, I don't know how. I guess that's not part of their picnic, that they'd have to go home for that. All right, they all decided to go play some more until dinner time. But Peep still doesn't have anything to eat because this is Quack and Chirp, so I'm not sure. And the bush is right, start shaking. So scene 10. So these are all one sequence. Narity, Chirp, Peep, Quack all went to play. Nice. But this time Quack and Chirp decide to cheer up Peep. So this one, this indicates it's all one scene, that it's all scene 10, and we have 4 poses. But the issue is this one is not scene 10. The cameras move closer. So this is scene 11, and it's one pose. So this is scene 10 because it's all the same location and pose changes. But once you come closer, that's a new scene. You've moved the camera closer. And now we've gone back to the original size. So then we go back. So now this becomes scene 12 with one pose. Now a solution for that would be that if this is the sequence here, that this pose matches up with the whole scene 10. But then it come in closer. As soon as you move the camera, it's a new scene. So you have to watch what's happening. Anyway, so they're up and they're out and they've gone back, and now Chirp's bag is gone. It looks like every time we leave, someone takes our food. We should hide behind this bush to catch whoever is stealing our stuff. Okay, so we've suddenly lost all our scene numbers and pose numbers here. So we got to make sure that that is corrected. Because we got this scene 10, which was a little confusing because of the close-up in here, which would throw the scene numbers off, but now they're not here at all, or the pose indications. So maybe just running out of time on that one. Let's see. We should hide behind this bush to catch whoever's stealing our stuff. And so they hid behind the bush to catch the culprit. So that seems to be that's page 7. So that's the end of the story. It kind of ends at a like an act 1 or a cliffhanger, and that's all fine. That works out well. So just getting a little confused with the sequence here, and there are numbers in the scenes disappearing. And it looks like it's all one pose on these scenes. So I could pick that up. And again, if I corrected this and made this close up, scene 11, and then this 12, this would end up being 13, 14, 15, and 16. And these are all one of one poses. Of which, I prefer not to have a lot of single shots with just one pose. That there should be some action being dictated. So I kind of like the story. I like where it's going and the build up to the mystery and waiting to find out. I'm not sure if there was any unnecessary action here or complexity to get more posing in and not as many scenes happening, which could be the main thing that I would see or looking out for in future, and making sure that, again, keeping it simple is keeping the shots down, the story simple and straightforward without a lot of other things happening, but have a lot of posing. So it's easier to follow that way. Okay. So it looks like I got time to go through one more. I still have a few left. And sorry about that I didn't get through them all. But there is still, yeah, a number of them left here. Maybe I'll see what I can do to do a review on those. But let me get through this one and we'll go from there. So 1 of 6, that's great. Name is here. Different forms, the name. We have our establishing shot. Narrator, another normal day for Peep and Chirp and Quack. Quack says, hello, Peep, how are you? Peep says, hello, Quack, nothing special, just enjoying the day. And so they're just sitting under a tree. So yeah, there we go. Action notes. Peep and Quack playing, it says in a tree, but under a tree. Let's see our shots. So yeah, so we got 1 of 1 poses all the way through the first page. So we got a close up, which matches on this one, which is Quack. That is good, Peep. By the way, where's Chirp? And there's Chirp. There you are. Come and look what I found. So it's all setting up that they're on a travel now. And numbers. Yeah, so scene 4, 1 of 1. So it would be cut. I think that's what's missing on all of these, is just to reinforce that we are new scenes, is to indicate that we have cuts happening. Then walking, this is always difficult, especially without pans or a background pan or something, which we'll get into down the road, of showing travel. Is it something fun? Yes, I believe you both are going to like it. And there we go. So what is all this? I think they are mirrors. Okay. So it looks like in the image here, let's see, walk through garbage. So it looks like there's a toaster here, and I'm not sure what these other things are. I guess they're mirrors, as he was saying, round ones. Peep, this is amazing. The image in the mirror is really me. I can't believe it. Am I so thin in real life? Okay, so it's got a distortion on that. So that's a fun visual on that. But again, they're, now let me take a look at, yeah, numbering's throwing me off a little bit. Because here we got scene 5, 1 of 1, scene 4, 1 of 1, scene 5, 1 of 2, and then we have scene 6, 2 of 2. So this doesn't relate to this. So it is 5. So the scene numbers are right. It's just your panel numbers. This is 1 of 1. This is 1 of 1. Because it's not related to the same camera setup. And this one's scene 7, 1 of 1. So again, we've got lots of scenes, no poses, which is something to really take a look at. How we can fix that. This one here, page 3 of 6. So we don't have the name, don't have the title. We have scene 2, 1 of 1, or scene 8, 1 of 1, scene 8, 1 of 3. Okay, so again, I'm getting confused with our numbers here. I'm not sure how this one relates to this, because now we can see a mirror here, so they've obviously moved. Let me just read the description here. Peep and Chirp talking with Quack about his reflection. Peep encouraged Quack to try another object, so they are moving around. So I'm getting a little confused with the numbering and just where we are at all times, because you got scene 8 and it says 1 of 1, then you've got scene 8 and 1 of 3. So, and then now we have scene 9, 2 of 3, and then scene 10, 3 of 3. So yeah, none of these seem to relate to each other. So they're all, the scene numbers are right, but they're all 1 of 1. You don't have any additional poses to any of those camera changes, which again, I think we need to work at more linear storytelling and getting poses to help tell the story, and not as many scene changes or moving around in the scene that are confusing things a bit. So I think there's some really good ideas here. I think what's happening too is I'm getting a little disoriented in where we are. So and again, we've got all these scene changes and pose numbers not reflecting what's happening with any of them. So I think panel numbers, you're not really understanding how they work or how the numbers are. So we got lots and lots of scene changes. We got to be able to figure out how to make this work or simplify this so that it works without all these cuts everywhere. And what's confusing, I mean, here we've got quack in front of this thing here, and then chirp. So one of the things is the idea of a floor plan or even a master shot, which I think you had earlier. It's just clarifying that or keeping that going. So you definitely have, which I thought before is a toaster, which I think they're getting the Ripley effect in the reflection. And these mirrors, it's just trying to figure out what are the other reflective images here. And, you know, you've got these round mirrors and figuring out where they are. And it's figuring how to cut around those and maybe without them jumping all over the place. Again, it's kind of complicated how it's been set up. And I'm not sure maybe this is the best setup. It could be that maybe without the mirrors, that the toaster itself, if it's metallic, that it, as one character stands on this side, they got that Ripley effect. And maybe if they stand on this side, they get really big and distorted, and kind of work things around this setup and keep it simple and keep it oriented. Because what's happening now is you've got characters jumping back and forth through these, and you're not seeing them moving around. They're just kind of new scenes of him, you know, one character here and then next character here and then a character here, and you're not showing, you know, how they're moving around that environment. So yeah, I think we've got to work on simplifying, you know, what were the idea and trying to work out how those characters are moving around and getting the different images. And I know you had a thin one and then a rippled one, and I can't remember if it was a fat one or not, but again, it's just trying to clarify and make it work. And again, something like a reflective toaster with the sides all giving a different result might be an easier, simpler way to make the story work and to get those the reflection concept or whatever happening. Okay. So let me just see, where did the story go? So just seeing where the story goes here. Yes, you were right. We are smaller than me. Also, Peep and I are more round than you. So they're just talking about their shapes, which is good. That's a good idea, especially for the audience that you'd be going to, talking about education of preschoolers or whatever, and them and their characters discovering things as well. I'm more like an egg, says Quack. Good. Yeah, this all works. It doesn't matter if we are different than other. We are friends, and that is what's important here. Yes, we're agreed. Let's continue enjoying the day, and they all lay down under the tree. Okay. Yeah, no, I think it's a great story. I think you've got a good message and things getting here. I think it's just a little confusing on how you get there. I think simplifying your location and what it is that's causing the distortion and how they get to it, Because again, I think what we need to avoid is all these scenes and very little posing, because it's really hard to follow or trying to figure out where we're at. And again, sorry, I'm skipping all over the place here. We get to a point where things fall apart and the numbering is completely abandoned on these. So it definitely would be revisiting and trying to sort out what are the shots and making sure all the numbering is complete. The dialogue is well written out. Same with the action notes, keeping clear what's happening in the images. It's just hooking those images up so they make more sense. This one here, I look at this sequence, which had a number on page 5 of 6, and I'm looking at these. It's all the exact same setup, except maybe as Quack talks his beaks open, as Chirp talks his beaks open, and the same with the rest. So not a lot of action going on there. So it's, kind of set up and trying to figure out how, think from the animator's point of view, thinking of the end production. What's the visual interest in making this work? You got some interesting visuals of the reflection and the distortions of them, but the rest of it from a posing and animation point of view is very, very limited, and it's kind of make it difficult, I would think, to take this and turn it into a production, because it's showing me lots of scenes. It's not showing me the poses and how the animation, the timing would work. Anyways, this will all become clear as we move forward and start looking at animatics. When we start taking images, put them on a timeline and seeing how they flow together. Sometimes it's hard to see it on still images in a storyboard, but once you see them in relation to each other and how long they would last on the screen, representing what action would happen, you start to realize that, yeah, there's gaps that we need to fill in, and more pose is going to make it easier for us to time out how long scenes would last and how they would work and how you'd have to indicate that on a storyboard. So it's all overall, I think it's, for a first shot, I think it's been working out extremely well. Everybody's, for the most part, has been following the format and labeling and numbering things relatively well and moving that forward. So that's great. So a lot of positives here. I think things are moving well. So with the samples we did go through, if you want to revisit your storyboards and take a look and see where you could clarify or fix labeling or any of the issues we were talking about and want to resubmit, I haven't marked any of these yet. I will be doing that later in the week. So if you want to do a second submission with any fixes and such, that would be fine. And if you could do it before I start marking, I'll just mark the newest one that you put into the submission folder and go from there. Okay. All right. So we seem to have run out of time. I just have a few left here. Maybe I'll see how next week goes, and maybe we can pick up on some of those and see where we can go with it. Maybe I'll just go over just a little bit, do this one last one, see where we go. So this is great. Got numbers, got everything here. We got a great establishing shot of them working and coming in close. Numbering seems to be working well. So let's see. Okay, so there's a watermelon that smells good. It looks so good. We should eat it. I love watermelon. It's an awfully small and round watermelon, from what I'm familiar with, but that would be kind of compared to Peep size, it'd be barely be the size of a baseball, but a little bit of a scale.
It's a very rare watermelon.
Yes, and very small too. Just thinking the scale of the characters and how small this watermelon is. But yeah, so numbering's good. I love watermelon. Let's see. Let's see. Let's use that stick over there to break the watermelon open. It's not working. Okay, so we have scene 5, scene 6. So yeah, okay. So a little bit of a strange cut here from scene 5 to 6, where we see the three of them. Because the issue here is the watermelons changed a little bit in size, but it's really what we'd indicate a jump cut, because nothing's really changed in size that drastically. And, we have lost this character. The background looks exactly the same as in this shot, except the characters have all changed position and maybe size just a little bit. And now we've cut back to the same size of characters and such in this shot. So, and this one is supposed to be 6, 2 of 2, but this doesn't match up. Sorry, if you can see this. This one's a little faint. So scene 5, then scene 6, and this is scene 6. Well, these two match up quite nicely. This is a different setup where the characters disappeared and they come around, so it's not really flowing, especially with the scene numbers and what's happening there. This being scene 6, 1 of 2, and this being scene 6, 2 of 2, that doesn't make any sense. There's not enough posing, or we need to renumber and maybe resize this panel, make it all scene 6, because this looks like it matches scene 6, but this one's an oddball. Doesn't seem to work. Scene 7, so this one definitely changed. They come to a tree. These branches are great, so they're still pounding away. So they're all pounding on it. So this is fun. There's some action. I don't know why this is scene 8 and this is scene 9. I think this could be set or staged that they'd all be 8 and it'd be 1 of 2 and 2 of 2. This one's come a little closer. The character's gotten bigger, but the watermelon hasn't changed in size. So it's more of a pose thing happening here than a scene or a camera change of things. This one works well where we've gone to scene 10. These are 2 poses. So you've got nice expression change and character talking here. And again, it's Quack's just saying it's too hard to break. This sucks. I give up. So anyways, I mean, it's all nicely drawn. The text is nice and clear. I can read it very well. It's just the composition of the shots in relation to the shot numbers I'm finding a little confusing and not necessarily working particularly in a clear way. So last page, we've got where Quack has kicked the watermelon down the hill, hits a rock, opens up into pieces, and they're all happy. So this is a nice solution. That all worked. It's just setting that up. But, and again, this sequence, we got shot 11. This is shot 11 too, but the rocks change position. If it's the same shot, and this is shot, yeah, see, the numbering is confusing me, because this is shot 11, 1 of 3, shot 11, 2 of 3, but something's changed because the rock's here and now the rock's up here. So it needs to have the same background set up for this to be, for these numbers to work. Then this one says page, this is scene 12, 3 of 3, but there's only the one panel that seems to make sense. So I think maybe the poses are trying to indicate that these 3 hook up, but the scene numbers don't relate and is making it confusing. But this last shot and this nice last shot where they're all happy eating watermelon, and that all works. So it's staging this action. So this is one camera position, that the position of that rock is in one place and the action all works around it and makes it visually holds together, makes it work that much stronger. But again, most other things are working well. So it's just working that out. The other thing on this one is helping with when there's a scene change and when these numbers are happening, like this is a definitely scene change, is to put the cut in the transition. Meaning, is it a cut or a cross dissolve or whatever? We're doing cuts, so indicating that when it is a cut. So having that cut here, well, this is a different scene from this one, according to that. And then these two are supposed to hook up. But the background, everything looks different from the other. So that's where, you know, if it is a sequence and you want the background to be the same, that's where it's using the light table to trace back the backgrounds so that they are consistent and they do look the same. And, you know, you could do that on a separate piece of paper and trace it back on all the panels that have the same background, just for consistency's sake. So we know it's the same camera position and nothing's changed, and that the numbering works with that consistency of the background is the same shot. So it's got to match in the numbering. Okay. So there we go. Hopefully you got something out of all that. I'm getting tired and confused myself on some of this. Not too many left. So, and again, I think it's, as it has been, it's been a repetition of a lot of the same issues and things. So I think hopefully we've got a good idea of what to look out for, and to have a second look at our storyboards and making sure our labeling, numbering is all working, and if our scenes make sense to all that. And for next time particularly is what to look out for, and remembering posing, more posing than scenes. I had mentioned it before, or when we're tackling the project, but hopefully now we've visually seen it and can see when there's more posing. It's easier to follow the storyboard and the action and what's happening than just having a bunch of scenes with one pose. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up if that's fine with everybody. Next week, we're on to a new, or setting up for a new project. So there will be video lessons for this class, and I will get into marking. So hopefully by next class, I will have marked these, and you'll have a good indication of how well they worked. And with the rubrics, breaking it down into composition and clear story and posing and labeling, you'll see which parts of your project you worked well with and where there was issues. And you'll have an indication of that just from what I've already gone over with the feedback for the ones that I managed to go through today. Okay, so let me check our time one last time. So we're just after 12, so I'll wrap that up. And we'll see you Thursday for design class. Okay, great.
Mr. Carson.
Yep.
Will you go over any of the leftover ones at any time?
I'm not sure. I'll think about that and figure out how I can do that. Okay. So remind me again, but I will see, maybe these other ones I will review and tape and just post my the video of the rest of the feedback. Okay. Not sure the timing of that, but we'll see what I can do. And that's a good reminder. I been taping this one, so I'm going to stop that. Yeah, that'll stop recording when I do this, and I'll try and again see how long all this takes to process and put up, and maybe all this can be up on the week 7 page as well. All right. Okay. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you Thursday. Have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.